Most people don't like tantrums. If you're like most people, then you're going to love this video. We're going to be talking about 3 words that de-escalate any tantrum. I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting, good communication, how to build strong family bonds, and calmness. And I talk about those things all through the lens of the principle self-government. In this video, we are talking about turning the tantrum switch off. In this video, we're going to talk about those 3 magic words that de-escalate any tantrum, and then why those 3 words work, and then how to use those 3 words to transition to good parenting practices that will actually solve the problem that the child is having. All right, the 3 words that I'm going to tell you right now can change the mood in a conversation in 5 seconds flat, maybe even 1 second flat, because as soon as a person hears these 3 words, something changes in them. They suddenly don't feel like they need to fight you as much. In fact, they have to reassess what to do now that they heard these 3 words. So what are the 3 words? The 3 words are, I believe you. I believe you. That doesn't mean that you agree with the person, but you're telling them that you're understanding them, that you see where they're coming from, that when they are yelling something at you like, you don't care, or I already did it, it's not my turn, you can say, I believe you. That means that you believe that they are telling you what they consider to be the truth. That doesn't mean that we don't still need to talk about it, but you can let them know you care that much to believe that what they are saying is true. Now, I know that some parents might be saying, but what if my child actually is a liar? What if they start yelling things at me and saying things at me that are absolutely not true? You still can say, I believe you. I believe this is something that really concerns you. I believe that you actually see it that way, and I want to hear more about that. I believe you. But then later, of course, we can get to what some of the truth is. We might have to discuss the dishonesty if that person happens to have that. The majority of people who start to get angry and out of control are doing so because of stress and anxiety. They feel panicked. They're starting to get emotional and angry at you because they think that you don't understand and that you don't believe them. When you tell somebody that you believe them, it actually shows you're calm. It shows that you're listening. It shows that you're not taking what they're saying personally. It shows that you want a solution to the problem, that you want to understand more. And that's really what they need most. When you're calm, when you can express that you understand or you believe another person, this helps you transition to self-government skills instead of to power struggle or just trying to manage the chaos that's going on around you. So many people put too much of their attention on the power struggle, on the chaos, instead of on the calm and the direction that they need to go. When you're a self-governed person, you're a deliberate person. The definition of self-government is being able to determine the cause and effect of any given situation and possessing a knowledge of your own behaviors so that you can control them. So that means that you understand cause and effect as it relates to your own thoughts, your own behaviors. Why do we want to transition a person to that? Well, don't we want our children to learn self-government? Obviously, we need to be calm. We need to learn how we work. But isn't the whole point of childhood to learn how they work? To learn how to be the best version of themselves? I hope you agree with me on that. That means they need to understand how they're processing, when it's effective, when it's not effective, when it actually hurts them. When you point a person toward understanding, toward connecting with you, then you can now point the conversation in the direction of correction, and it doesn't feel like a threat. In fact, you should never threaten your children with corrections. Your children should feel that corrections are a safe, normal part of life. They're children, after all. Their role is to be a learner. Your role is to be a teacher. I have a whole book about that called Roles, because people don't understand that it's okay to be a teacher of your own children. When you're maintaining that role and that parental authority, sometimes you need to do a correction. When your child feels like they're understood, they feel like you believe them, now you can have a correction moment that's also a connection moment. Did you know that you can feel closer to your children during and after a correction than you even did before? That's true. In fact, a lot of people think that a correction has to feel negative and disconnect them in their relationships, but it doesn't have to be that way. If you learn how to do a proper correction and how to seek to understand during the steps before correction and afterward, your children can feel like corrections are safe, productive. They could even come to you and say, "Mom, I think I need to be corrected for something." I know you think that's not possible, but it's absolutely happened to me with my children and my foster children. Here's one thing that you can start your correction out by saying. Now, if you're not going to take the moment personally or react in a negative way, you've got to have a plan. What are you going to say? I like to tell a story at the beginning of a correction instead of react. Now, I'm not going to tell any random story. I'm going to tell the story of what just happened. To remind myself to do that and to do it calmly, I have a cue phrase for myself. The cue phrase is the term "just now." So I say, "Just now, I gave you an instruction and you looked at me and then you rolled your eyes. You said, 'whatever.' This shows that you're not calm inside. You don't have a calm face, voice, and body, which are some of the steps for following an instruction." So we need to get ourselves back to a place of calmness. Let's talk about what happened and then what we should have done instead. A really great correction discusses what happened and then what should have happened. Many people think the most important part of a correction is the negative consequence. That's simply not true. We will talk about how to use negative consequences and why they are important to utilize, but they are not the most important thing to focus on when you're correcting your children. So to talk about those consequences and to go into all 7 steps of a very effective correction, I recommend going to my next video, which is the #1 tool that ends power struggles without punishment. Click on that video. I'll see you there.